So I've been testing out the Hume pod scales for the last 2 weeks, and I wanted to come on and talk to you about why this is such a great scales. So I don't know about you, but I actually love data, especially when you are trying to build muscle, lose fat, and just feel generally much better in yourself. My name's Anita. I'm a 53-year-old nutritionalist and BMX racer, and I have been training all the way through winter, and I got to the point after Christmas where I just felt really flabby. I just felt like whatever I was doing in the gym and what I was eating wasn't quite hitting the right points for me, and I wanted to look at a little bit more data, and that's where the Hume pod comes in. So I did fall for all of the advertising over the Christmas and New Year period, but I actually thought, it makes sense. So my biggest takeaway from the Hume Health Scales in the last 2 weeks is that it actually gives me some proper data that I can actually dig into in order to help me hit my goals and also set new ones. So it actually helps you to go beyond that figure that you see on a standard scale. So, when you get on the standard scales, you either weigh 9 stone 6, 10 stone 12, but it doesn't tell you how much of that weight is water, how much of that weight is muscle, how much of that weight is actual fat, and actually how much of that weight is your bones, and it also doesn't tell you what's going on in your body. Whereas this smart little device has been showing me a lot more information than I ever thought about. So the great thing about it also is that once you've bought the scales, you can use their free app, and on the app it gives you some really good information. So you can sync it with maybe your Apple Watch, or if you're using say like a Garmin or something like that, it actually picks that data up as well. So it's a really good overall view of what's happening with your body. It actually helps to track your body composition, and this is what I really wanted to have a little look at, the metrics behind my weight, my muscle mass and my body fat percentage for a complete picture of my health. So you can see on the screen here that it gives me this health report, and just at a glance you can see what your current weight is, you can see what your metabolic age is, you can see what your skeletal muscle mass is, and you can see what your body fat percentage is. It even digs down into individual parts of your body. And those individual parts of the body are what's really, really fascinating. And that's where the data really comes in to help you to know how to adjust your diet and your exercise plan in order to hit your goals. So you can see from the screen here that I've got my muscle mass up. I'm really, really focused on building muscle because of my BMX racing. And you can see that it shows my right arm compared to my left arm, and my right leg compared to my left leg. Now, this is actually really, really important because if you are trying to build muscle across your whole body, whether you've had an injury before or not, it's really good to know where the differences in your muscle mass is. Now, you can see actually from a picture here that I took on the first time I got on my scales. So you can see here that I took screenshots when I started measuring myself and when I hit the end of week 2. And you can see how my muscle mass progression has changed and adapted, and it really highlighted to me that I had a weakness in one of my legs and one of my shoulders. Now, I'd had a bit of a hamstring injury in one of my legs, and I've had a previous broken shoulder, so both of those sides have been one of my sort of like weaker sides of me, and it was really interesting to see how perhaps one side of my body was compensating, and how in the gym I actually started to focus on making sure that my weaker side was building muscle just as much as the better side. So interestingly, you can see from the screenshots here that the fat distribution has changed as well across the feedings, and this is super important for me as well because women have fat laying down in different parts of their body, and usually what we do is make this comparison with men, and it's not about comparing, it's about working on where in your body you want to make the changes. And the Hume pod scales and the app that's linked to it is really, really helping me adjust my exercise routine and my dietary input to help work on those areas that I want to work on more. So overall, the Hume pod weighing scales and the app both together are working seamlessly behind the scenes of my actual BMX training and my overall health. And I really think that if you are a woman in your 40s or 50s or 60s and you're finding that things aren't quite going where you want them to with your exercise and your diet, maybe you've got some stubborn belly fat that you've had since the menopause, maybe you're at the gym and you're working out and nothing seems to be shifting, then I think that actually knowing the data behind what's happening with your body is really, really beneficial. So if this data collection is something that you're interested in, then do smash that subscribe button and follow along for more, because I'm going to be doing another video at week 4 to see how my body's changed over the 4-week period of me adjusting my diet and my exercise routine according to the readings and the data that I'm getting from the Hume Pod app and the Hume Pod scales. So one of the things in the Hume Pod obviously is weight, and that I think is one of those areas when we use a standard scales, it can get really complicated, because when the standard scales weigh you, they're obviously picking up weight, they're picking up water content, they're picking up fat and muscle. Whereas if you weigh yourself on the scales, it's giving you your general weight, but it's giving you the data behind it. And I just want to show you, basically when I started out, I was 64.8 kilograms, and I'm now, after the end of week 2, down to 63 kilograms. So what have I done to enable that change? Well, I've been going to the gym 5 times a week. 3 of those sessions have been focusing on weight resistance and weight training, so lifting slightly heavier, but also in racks of maybe 3 sets of 12. Then the other 2 sessions have also been weight specific, but I've also added in what I would call a sit session, so short intermittent training. And what I've done is I've added in a 20-minute sprint on the running machine, and I've used one of the ones on the machine where you rest for a bit, you sprint for 30 seconds, you rest for 1.5 minutes, you sprint for 30 seconds, and that's given me that cardiovascular fat burning on top of the muscle building and strength training in the gym. What have I done to my diet? I've really focused down on making sure that I've eaten enough protein. So as somebody who weighs 63 kilograms, I'm aiming at 1.5 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram. So I'm averaging around 120 to 140 grams of protein per day. I've cut down my fat allowance because I want to lose that adipose fat. I want to go from 30% down to maybe 25% body fat to see whether I can get some more muscle definition going on. And I've also made sure that I'm sleeping at least 7 hours a night. Super important. Sleep is such an underrated method of helping you with weight loss and fat loss specifically. So if any of this has interested you, then do ask away in the comments. I know how frustrating it is to be going to the gym, working out, and then not seeing any fat loss or muscle building, and it can be really disheartening. But I think when you have the app and you have the Hume Pod scales, it's really, really useful to get that data. So don't forget to smash that subscribe button. I will be doing another review at week 4 to see whether I've managed to keep building muscle but lose that body fat percentage, and also see how I've been getting on with the scales and the app. So my name's Anita Wong, I'm a functional nutritionist, and if you have any questions about using the Hume app or the Hume Pod scales, or what nutrition you should be eating as a female over the age of 40, then do drop them in the comments.